Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Heart of Christ Ministry episode, show, whatever. Welcome. Hope you are fantastic. I'm Reverend Sean Robert Grant, and I'm happy to be with you here today on this beautiful, lovely Monday evening. Hope all is fantastic with you. All is grand with me. Life is good. Life is progressing. Life is expanding. And that is a big reason why I decided to do a video on the topic that I'm going to do today. And it just has a lot to do with understanding that it's really up to us. It's really up to us to grow, to expand, to really continually question what we hold near and dear to be true in our lives. So what you potentially see with the majority of humanity is a paradigm that watches people adopt one set of beliefs at one point in time in their lives, and they take those entire beliefs throughout the rest of their lives. And so what this does is it shuts off the opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand completely, because can you imagine being 55 years old and still having the same beliefs that you got when you were 12? How much that would affect you in being able to not just operate, but to thrive in life, to thrive in who you were destined to be. You literally stunt your growth when you do that. And for me, it's always been about, at one time it was like, how can I get better? And that was just my way of saying, how can I realize more of my purpose? How can I realize more of who I've been created to be? And that came with really diving in to certain beliefs and asking, okay, does this really help me? Does this really enable me to grow into the person that I want to be? And if it didn't, then guess what? I got to deconstruct those beliefs. And you know what? It takes courage. It takes a hellified amount of courage to be able to do that, because guess what? It's not easy if you've been carrying the same beliefs, the same notion years at a time, and all of a sudden you want to try to change it. Well, guess what? Your ego is going to fight you, because that feels safe, right? That feels safe in a sense that is not going to want to let it go. But it's up to us to have the courage to just dive into those and change them up in every single possible way that we can. And today we're going to do that. And guess what? I just have a title. I don't have any laid out bullet points, because I just want to allow this to flow and to see what comes up. That way I can share, what comes up, and you can benefit from it. We all can benefit from it, and then learn something, and then be able to take this information and implement it. First things first, as always, guys, Heart of Christ Ministry is an open concept. And what I mean by that is contact us. Feel free to contact us if you need counseling. Feel free to contact us if you need prayer requests. Also, we are moving into the realm of mindset mastery in 2021. And I'm super excited about this, because if you can train your mind to be not only fixated on truth, but to embody truth and to embody all those things that serves you in the essence of thriving, guess what? You will be unstoppable. So that is coming in 2021. Working on it right now, really hashing out the concept as to how can this benefit people that are willing to dive in with me 100%. And I promise you, I've been working on this my entire life for the most part. We'll get you where you need to go. So keep that in mind. Mindset mastery training. coming to you 2021, at the very beginning of 2021, taking in applicants now as we speak. So if you feel like it's something you're interested in, send me an email, SeanG04@gmail.com. If you have a prayer request, send an email as well to that same email. And I would like to thank you all in advance for showing not even sowing a seed, but a donation, giving a donation to Heart of Christ Ministry and helping this ministry continue to expand and to grow as it moves along day after day. So thank you in advance. And if you're thinking about sowing a seed because you've benefited from now and then in the future and in the past, feel free to do so. It's right there. Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, SeanG04@gmail.com, Apple Pay upon request. Thank you in advance once again for your kindness and your generosity. And let's get into this today. All right. So today's message, Heart of Christ Ministry, the courage to question your beliefs. All right. So like I said, I didn't really put out anything from the standpoint of bullet points like I normally would do, because I wanted to just flow with this topic. And, may flow for 30 minutes, may flow for 20, may flow for 15, may flow for 40. You never know. But the main objective was to be as completely authentic and unrehearsed as possible. Why? Because this is so important if we're going to grow, if we're going to expand. And I use that word a lot because expansion becomes a space where you are forever on point with a divine consciousness that predicates love, truth, joy, harmony, happiness, peace, prosperity in your life, right? So what's important about that is that consciousness, that divine consciousness, that God consciousness, it continually elongates itself. It can not elongate, but expands itself. It continues to increase, so to speak, is a better word for it, because it is always looking to expand to such a capacity that it's never limited. Limitations cannot be brought in the same sentence as anything divine. Why? Because the divine is not limited. Divine is unlimited. And the beauty is it's becoming even more, if that's even possible, even more unlimited every single moment of the day. So guess what? We have the option to expand with it, but we have to expand our minds in the process to be able to move with it. Okay. So let's get into this. And before I sidetracked my own self, I thought of a question. Actually, a quote, not a question. Beliefs are made to be broken. That was a quote that really sort of kind of came into my mind, and it made me think, okay, beliefs are made to be broken. That's an interesting way to put it, because I've heard rules are made to be broken. I've heard, certain things are made to be broken, but beliefs are made to be broken. I think there's another one that says beliefs are made to be challenged. And I believe that. I believe that with all my heart, because I think what happens is you have a certain set of beliefs and they serve you at a certain stage of your life. But then all of a sudden, paradigms begin to break. They begin to shift. You begin to move into a place where your true essence is telling you need to elevate to a higher level of consciousness if the next thing in your life is going to work, right? And so that really stuck with me. It really stuck with me in the sense that I always wanted to make sure that I was doing everything I could not to be hindered at any point in time when something new came along, right? So I take you back to 2011 or so when I moved from Louisiana to California. And so that challenged every single belief I had at the moment. Right. And it just, what was amazing was the moment that I decided that I was going to step up to that belief and not fall victim to believing in an older paradigm, the belief itself was shattered. Right. And the first belief that was shattered was that you need a certain amount of money to be able to do a certain thing. That is one of the biggest traps ever in life, that you need a certain amount of money to do a certain thing. And here's why that's a trap. You're an unlimited being. You're an unlimited being because you are God, and God just is, which means God is completely not even privy to any type of limitations whatsoever. And we've been given a mind, we've been created a mind that has the ability to create exactly what we need. But here's the thing. Sometimes all the time, the energy has to go forward. The energy has to go first before we start thinking about the goal. It's almost like the horse and carriage, right? You've got to put the horse first if the carriage is to move. Well, a lot of times what happens when it comes to goals and when we're dealing with current beliefs and current paradigms is we put the cart before the horse, right? But no, what has to happen is you've got to put the energy before the goal. You got to put the energy first before anything that you're trying to achieve. And I was always under the belief that in order to make something happen, you needed a certain amount of money. Right. So picture this. It's 2011. I just worked on, I think it was Looper, made a staggering amount of money. Right. That had me set up to where I could go to LA. I could do what I need to and not have any problem and still have some left in my savings. That was a safe route. Right. So all of a sudden, some things come up. I can't leave as soon as I want to. And then all of a sudden my money just starts to just burn, just go. Next thing I know, that big lump sum of cash I had was no longer available. Right. And this was at a time where I was still looking at money from a physical standpoint, not where I am today. So that had a lot to do with it as well. But by the time I got ready to leave for Los Angeles, I'll kid you not, I had like $300 to my name and maybe like $46, $47 in cash. And so, but something in my heart, you call it energy, call it God, call it the essence. And I think it really was the God essence in me calling me forward to go. Right. So what did I do? Gave away whatever I could, packed up my truck, right? Had a 24 to 30 hour drive ahead of me, had never driven that far by myself under any circumstances, didn't even think it was possible. I embarked upon that. So the money thing, the money belief, shattered, thrown out of the way. I'm hopping in this car, taking the amount of money that I got. Keep in mind, my debit card got shut off when I was in the middle of New Mexico. So I'm like on the phone with the bank, hoping that I don't lose any reception because they got to turn my card back on. And there's so much happening, but one belief after the other is my point. One belief after the other was just challenged and changed, right? And what it did is it helped me to be the person who I needed to be over those next couple of months, because I got there and it was hard as hell to try to make it work, you know, in the sense of the circumstances that I was in. And so, you know, belief number one, you got to have a certain amount of money in order to do something that you really care about. Shattered, done deal, went out, did it. Eventually it all worked out with the help of like some amazing individuals who were great channels for the divine to help me out. It worked out. Second one, how can I drive 30 hours by myself? That's a distance I've never driven before, but guess what? when you are determined to get somewhere and to be someone, a more pronounced version of yourself, there's nothing that's going to get away in that energy. I can remember reaching the California state line. It was about 4:30 in the morning. I left on the 16th. This was about 4:30 in the morning on the 18th. And what I was doing was, instead of like spending the night places, I would stop and walk around the whole perimeter of the gas station for like 20 minutes. I have like a Red Bull and a coffee or whatever. And I just kind of sunk into gratitude in a sense, like, wow, I've been driving this long. I'm doing this. This is like, I'm doing this, right? Another belief shattered, right? So I get to LA and, I'm staying with my aunt at the time, who was amazing for letting me stay there. And very optimistic, very excited. I find a church because I was doing that at the time. I find a gym, Gold's Gym around the corner, and my foundation is set up, right? And so I'm very optimistic. And then all of a sudden, everything just starts to nosedive, right? So that first week was so terrific because I can remember I booked a role in a video with LL Cool J. But if you remember during that time, LL had identity theft happening. And so literally someone jacked half of his assets, like financial and everything else. And so he had to shut down the video. Literally, I'm getting ready, shaving, getting ready to go do this video. And they send me an email. Yeah, the video's canceled. Nothing's going to happen. And then everything just kind of shut down at that point. And so all of a sudden, the little money I had starts to just dwindle, and it's really looking really bad and really serious at this point. And so for me, for a long time, I always had my mom to be able to fall back on to, right? She was always there. She was always around for me. But that was another belief that had to be X'd out, right? If I was going to be the individual that I needed to be, I needed to lose that belief. And when I tell you it's the most painful belief ever, it brought me to tears. It brought me, to the brink of wanting to say, no, I can't do this. But I did it, right? And slowly but surely, the divine just provided. It was just a little bit at a time, 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 right? So it didn't stop there, though. And this is where it gets really interesting. Is that so I finally navigated that and things finally started to look up. And I got this opportunity to work at this fitness place you may know as Barry's Boot Camp. And what was interesting was it had been a while since I had done any personal fitness training whatsoever. And not only did they want me to do fitness training, but I had to get in front of a class of some of the hardest critics you'd ever, like, those people are just, they're so serious about their workout, and they're very, very particular about who is teaching them. And I mean, not only do you have to do fitness, but you got to be an entertainer. Literally, I knew it was right up my alley, but I had to transcend. I had the courage. I had to have the courage to question another belief. And the belief was, can I do this without this type of certification? Or can I do this without having the experience of teaching a class at all? Well, I go for the interview. I put on my best face. And guess what? They give me the job. And literally, I want to say 3-4 days later, I am teaching a class. I think Jeremy Jackson. It's funny enough, I did a runway show with Jeremy Jackson a couple years before. And then here I am teaching a class with him and a few other people on a Sunday, and just kind of navigating my way through it, doing my best. And after it was done, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't think that was too bad. And they come up and they give me so much encouragement. They say, you know what, we'll be coming to your class. Like, we really like the vibe you got going. And, to think it was your first time doing it. And it was just so encouraging, right? Another belief shattered, right? Another belief question. So I give you those instances because it's important for us to know that without us questioning certain beliefs, there's absolutely no way we can ever expand. If I would have backed down from any one of those previously held beliefs, there's no way any of that, there's no way I'm talking to you right now, because none of that stuff would have ever transpired. I would have never moved to LA. I would have never met my wife. I would have never, did this, did that, did all these things. Those decisions to challenge who I thought I was at the time, as opposed to who I really was, transformed everything. Transformed everything, right? Just without question. And was it something that made me fearful? Absolutely, with no question about it. But what happens is, see, to me, what courage becomes a situation where the will to do something is way stronger than the fear of not doing it. And I feel like I'll call it divine will, because I feel like that's the only thing that could have transpired enough to help me to move past these blockades of energy that would stop me from really being the very best that I could be. And so it was just a great lesson that I learned in that time in my life. And it just really taught me about faith in myself. But more importantly, just not staying the same, right? Just not staying the same. I found a video of a football game that I played. I was a senior in high school. It was 1998. We played Destrehan High. And, I'm looking through everything. I'm just watching the film of this video, and I'm seeing and feeling who I was at the time, right? And once again, that gratitude comes up because I think about all the stuff that I had to overcome, all the beliefs that I had to overcome to get to from that point where I was on that video to where I am right now. And it was a consistent challenging of what I believe to be truth. Because ultimately, in most cases, our truth is based on the perception of what it is we've experienced. And we want to call that truth. And I've been guilty of that as well. But at the same time, what tends to happen is the more you seek the truth, the more your own truth becomes refined, and the more you begin to resonate on that wavelength of absolute truth, absolute divine truth, right? So when you become a true seeker, you really make that your highest objective, no matter what it means for your life and for your beliefs. So my point is, that became one of the highest, if not the highest objectives in my life, was to seek truth, even if it meant questioning what my current beliefs are, what my current beliefs were, right? Because ultimately what happens with beliefs, they become outdated. And you know how they become outdated? Because you begin to feel like you're stuck. You begin to feel like you're stuck. You begin to feel like there's nothing happening right now. There's nothing unfolding in my life. So guess what? You got to change it up. You got to change it up, right? It becomes a situation where, excuse me, it becomes a situation where there has to be something different unfolding, right? There has to be something different unfolding. So it's a great opportunity, because if you find you're stuck, if you find that certain things aren't happening or unfolding for you, challenge your beliefs, right? I had something recently happening where I started challenging my beliefs, in the sense of, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to wake up early to train, to consult, to counsel somebody, if I'm going to wake up at 5:30 for somebody else, what stops me from waking up at that time for myself? And that's a belief, because the belief was what? I should only have to wake up that early if I'm working with somebody else. But I'm like, no. What if I woke up that early to work for myself, to work on myself, right? And that's a belief I held for a long time. And when I tell you I did that, and I started to do what I call the power, the hour of power, or the 2 hour of power situation, where I'm doing meditation, I'm doing mental work, I'm doing energy work, I'm working on my brain, I'm doing all this stuff that's really making me a more well-rounded, expansive human being, or spiritual being having a human experience. And it's paying dividends, and it's all because I questioned the belief that I should only wake up early if I'm working with somebody else, right? All because I questioned that belief. In less than a week, so much stuff has changed in my life. It's led to other stuff now. So now, when before I would just kind of mellow down and just sit and not really do anything, it's inspired me to start taking nightly walks by myself to really get my wheels turning and really hear my own voice. Like, I walk with my wife and stuff, and that's terrific. But I think, we all need to really get into our own mind, so to speak, sometimes, and figure out what's really there, what's really turning with these wheels. What do we really believe about our lives as it relates to right now? And so it just goes to show you, just by taking the time to question what is, we open ourselves to the path of what could possibly be. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Because that's the difference between success and failure, poverty, wealth, right? Happiness, unhappiness, joy, struggle, disharmony, right? It's the difference. It's a simple belief, a simple shift that makes such a ginormous difference in our lives. And all we have to do is have the courage to question it. And look, we may think sometimes it's the biggest things we have, the biggest beliefs that make the difference. But I'm telling you, it's a small belief. The simple belief of me waking up early to put myself first shifted the universe in a way that I can't even explain to you right now. Not to mention, that's pretty much what led me to social media, taking a hiatus from social media. It led me to going to the gym more now, which helps me to feel more confident in my body, helps me to really begin to get my body back on point. The walking does that as well. Like, the walking is good for my brain. Now I've learned how to integrate both hemispheres of my brain. So because of that shift, now I'm using 100% of my brain as opposed to maybe 50%, as opposed to using just maybe the left side and not the left and the right side. So one simple shift, one choice to question a belief that stands in the way of you becoming more of you and the very best version of you is what could be right now. And just, you got to think about it. You really got to take a moment to think about, what is it? What is it that could be holding me back? Right? What is it that could potentially take me to a whole new level of existence? That if I just made that one shift, if I just questioned it, if I had the courage to question it and say, you know what? Yeah, this worked at one time, but it's not working for me anymore. Relationships come to mind, right? What if you took that one belief that says being married is a trap, being married is being like in a prison, and you shifted it where you decided, you know what? I'm not going to think like that. If I find the right person, being married is something that helps me to grow. Being married is something that allows me to be in love all the time. And all of a sudden, someone comes into your life to give you that. That's how fast it works, right? That's how fast it works. So in closing, What are some beliefs that you can question right now? What are some beliefs about your health that you can question? What are some beliefs about the coronavirus? What are some beliefs about the whole election fiasco and or the candidate opposite of you that you didn't vote for? What are some of the things that you can really take a deeper look at right now and shift them in order to shift your life? And on that note, I'm going to leave it right there. Feel free to comment. Feel free to reach out, whatever it may be. But I want you to do this because I know that this is what really needs to unfold and happen when people feel like they get stuck, when people feel like their life is not moving. It's because the way of thinking, the way of faith and expectancy is no longer serving progress of your life anymore. That's what happens when it feels like we're getting stuck. All you got to do is shift it, right? Amazing. Amazing, huh? All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up today's message. I just kind of stopped, but that wraps up today's message. If once again you have any questions, any prayer requests, once again, Mindset Mastery Training is beginning in January 2021. So really happy and excited about that. You feel you want to correspond, write to us, write to Heart of Christ Ministry, SeanG04@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can with that. And then last, I want to say thank you to everyone who has donated, who has taken the time to sow a seed into this ministry. Thank you so much. You're greatly appreciated. Your generosity, greatly appreciated. You know, this is one of these things that, you know, all I can say is thank you, because it just goes a long way to be able to have people to feel strongly enough about what you're doing that they will donate to it. So thank you for that. And if you choose to donate to join that group as well, Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, SeanG04@gmail.com, Apple Pay upon request. Your generosity and kindness are very, very greatly appreciated. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that wraps up today's message. 32 minutes, not bad at all, right? So remember, question the beliefs. Question your beliefs all the time, even when they're serving you. Question them. Have the courage to really dive in and say, okay, does this help me in any way that's conducive to me being my best? And I promise you, your life will expand. You will continue to grow. You will continue to find yourself in a position to be the very best that you can be. With that being said, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Monday evening. Take care. Bye-bye.